Come here, friend. Let's have some tea and talk about this. Whew, this is hot. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Making friends does take some effort, but could it be worth it? I know that it is. How do adults make friends, as introverts specifically? It's actually something that's Googled a lot. I'm breaking it down today, how to do it in a casual, normal, and totally non-creepy way.
So there were two of us in the wolf pack. I was alone first in the pack, and then Doug joined in later.
These tips have worked for me in Sydney, in New York, now in Miami, where I've lived for the last 2.5 years, and they will work for you wherever you are. I know the value of finding a local family wherever you live, something I've gotten pretty good at after moving around a lot, as you can probably tell by my 3-accent hybrid, having lived in the UK, Australia, and the USA. I don't have to tell you that it's people that really matter in our lives. Our life can largely be measured by the quality of our relationships, and loneliness is the biggest cause of stress. Humans are wired for connection, and that happens easily, right? When we're growing up, we have playdates, then school, then college. We're surrounded by people our age with a lot in common. Friends therefore just happen then, right? But what about when there's no longer just a supply of people around you also eager to make new friends? Then it becomes up to you. I know people who've been held back on taking new opportunities and moving cities because they're worried they won't make friends. This does not have to be you. A person I know left San Francisco for Austin and then moved back after a few months because she didn't make any new friends. It has a really big impact on how we live our lives. This can be a real shame, but it doesn't have to be the case at all. This friend-making skill is also important because life is dynamic. Opportunities will crop up, our friends can move, our situations can change at any moment, and making new friends is a skill you never know you might need. Basically, it's normal to need to make new friends. You don't have to be extroverted out there, life of the party queen or king, to attract lovely new friends to your life. These are the skills I've learned along the way that really work. And I promise I won't tell you to go to a meetup or join a local Facebook group, okay? We have simpler, better, and way more fun ways. Number 1, buy a dog. Just kidding, but they are cute. Start a low-stakes conversation wherever you are. Friendship finding is a little bit like pre-app dating. If you want in real life friends, you have to just get out there more. When I moved to Miami from New York 2.5 years ago, I made 2 really nice friends separately at the same Pilates class. It followed the same formula. We were sweating in the studio, and then afterwards we got talking as we slipped on our sneakers, we're drinking our water. And I just asked, "Did you come to the studio a lot? I'm new here." A simple opening question, just like that as a new person somewhere, is enough to open an entire conversation about local workouts, what a person likes and recommends. Other people love being an expert and they love sharing what they know. And hey, you'll also get great advice as a result in a lot of cases. I'm still friends with these 2 women, and now we coordinate classes, so we get to check in throughout the week, and whenever we can, have an iced coffee after class too. If you feel comfortable being around new people now in real life, a true feat, I understand, you can start by going places where people with similar interests simply are. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, like workout classes, maybe a book club, a friend's social gathering, even a nail salon. I made a friend there in a nail salon by complimenting a lady next to me on her polish, and it turns out she lives in my building, and now we have doggy dates. The pandemic has kind of made us a little awkward, right? Maybe we don't know how to speak to new people as easily as we did a couple of years ago.
Meet me at Muscle Beach at half an hour?
Muscle Beach, half an hour. I will see you there, or I will see you on another time.
That's very confusing. I don't know if you're gonna come or not.
No, I'll be there. I'll be there.
All right, I'll see you then. Bud.
All right.
But any common ground, like a mutual friend, a love of a nail polish, a book, a coffee shop, is a great starting point for a new friendship. It's just about opening your eyes and seeing that people just like you surround you a lot of the time. Just knowing that already makes me feel less lonely. The second thing is to just ask to hang out. As in all potential relationships, someone has to take the initiative. Someone has to make the first move. So why not let that person be you? You can start low stakes, right? By asking for a coffee or a tea or a casual lunch. I know it can feel uncomfortable at first, but if you don't ask, you're not going to make any new friends. If it doesn't work out the first time, that's also okay because life is busy. When I first moved to New York, I met a girl I really liked at a work event, and I asked her if she'd like to have lunch with me. She was getting married around that time, so she turned me down. I asked her again a few weeks later after her honeymoon, and she said yes. And we recently celebrated her birthday with a big trip with a bunch of us. What if I never asked her again? That would have been a real pity, right? I've since seen her birth two really cute kids, and I get to be part of their lives too. And we've hooked each other up with job opportunities and new connections over the last decade plus. There is so much more to gain than to miss out by being willing to be uncomfortable for just a second and ask, because you really never know. You can follow up and ask one more time if you get an initial rejection, and don't be afraid to hear no. Seriously, it's easier when you remember that life is just full. And so if someone says no, you don't need to take it personally. The third thing is something that's really commonly overlooked, but really cool and really helpful to do. It's to actually choose a time and place. This is an important one because very few people do it well. It's kind of annoying and frankly unsuccessful when people say, we should hang out sometime. I mean, how many times do we say that? And isn't it often what we mean when we actually don't really want to do it? The ball is in no one's court, and I don't have to tell you that most of the time, nothing happens without specifics. If you listen and pay attention when another person is talking, you get great insight into what they care about. Is someone a vegan, for example? Have you heard that come up in conversation? I would then ask something like, hey, I heard a great vegan restaurant just opened up in this part of town. Are you free next Thursday to check out their happy hour? I think it starts at 6 o'clock. Being specific brings ease to a first date, meaning it's far more likely to actually happen. You'll also make it simple for the other person to just say yes. One time, a new colleague in the lunchroom at work heard me raving about a book that I loved. She said to me, hey, I'm part of a book club. We meet the first Tuesday of every month in different spots. And she gave me the next location and date. She said, you'd love it. You clearly love to read. I'll email you an intro to the woman who organizes it. And she did. And I totally went that next Tuesday and then met even more people there. And then I got great book recommendations on top. It was such a win-win. I think she felt more comfortable at work too, because she formed a friendship with someone out, in the office who had a hobby outside of work. Being specific, like my colleague in that instance, was such a boss move. I respected her for it and I was really appreciative. And bosses invite in exactly what it is that they want. And in this case, that's more friends. The next thing to do is to check in with others. People are human beings. A new friend of mine in Miami really touched me recently with her good memory and just her kindness. I met her at a mutual friend's housewarming, and I told her about my upcoming book launch. She then DM'd me a couple of weeks leading up to it to tell me she pre-ordered my book, she wished me luck, and asked me if she could help with anything. I was really touched by that. Most people don't bother to remember things other people have coming up, like birthdays, career moves, marathons they're running, whatever it may be. Why not remember and ask about something? It goes a long way because it shows you care. This is called the give what you want to get principle. If you want kind and supportive friends who check in on you, be that person first. It's kind of simple, right? But easily overlooked. Are you a generous friend? Another amazing habit is to keep it chill. Okay, you've gotten out there, you've made the first move. What happens when it comes time to hang out with your new buddy? This is exciting, right? Let me tell you this, it's really refreshing to be around people who are easy to be with. For example, I try not to reschedule a first date. I just like to stick to it if I can, because if you cancel it the first time and you don't already really know the person, rescheduling can be awkward. And then if there's issues, you haven't got the relationship built up enough yet to have that back and forth. So just try and stick with your first date. And then when it happens, you want to be on time and you don't want to be too fussy, okay? I'll always remember a date with a new friend of mine who was 25 minutes late, and she had so many dietary restrictions that we didn't end up eating much. And our date was then cut a little short. It made me kind of reluctant to want to hang out again, the lateness and the kind of lack of flexibility that she had. You want to honor your needs, of course, in your diet, but respect and flexibility and ease make a great foundation for another meeting. A second date, shall we say. This is why it can be helpful to really own the specifics of where you'd like to meet, especially if you have any fussiness. Finally, this is an important one. Don't rule someone out too fast based on a difference. Part of being an adult is just accepting others for who they are. A friend doesn't have to be perfectly aligned with you on all things to nurture a great friendship. Often people who think differently can teach us things if we have an open mind. And this live and let live attitude is really what makes a friend magnet. Differences of opinion on politics, for example, don't have to be a deal breaker, nor does having or not having kids, or being a wine lover versus being sober curious. It doesn't really have to matter so much. We put way too much emphasis on our differences. You can focus on what you have in common. Someone can have similar ambition, maybe travel interests, a love of similar books, but might not be identical to you on something that's significant in your life right now. My book club friend I mentioned adhered to this strict religion in her life. Her and her family did. And most of her other friends were part of that religion, and I wasn't. That's okay. I even enjoyed learning about it and agreed with some of the generous and loving principles of her religion, and it was a fun education for me. Being self-assured in seeking out new friends, being willing to make the first move, has endless benefits because you're more likely to say yes to change. We create connections that land us in new careers. We learn more about the world and ourselves with fresh people entering our lives over the years. Just remember, key point here, this is supposed to be fun. And a person having fun is someone we all want to be around. Bonus tip. For the real go-getters, you can always ask to be included. Do you ever notice how single people often say they're looking for introductions and they'll ask their married friends if they know anybody? You can do something similar with friendships. You can say something like, hey, I'm looking to meet some more cool people this year, and I'd love to be included if you're doing any group stuff. It's simple and honest and effective, and it comes across as confident. People don't know what we want if we don't tell them. And then when an invite comes your way, remember all of the things that we've already covered. Coco and I want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments how you go about making new friends. I'd love to hear your tips, and hey, perhaps they'll also be really helpful to others reading the comments. And I almost forgot, before you go, quick question. Would you like to know more skills like this and how to coach yourself through some of life's challenges? If so, I'm hosting an awesome free workshop titled Become Your Own Life Coach. Head on over to becomeyourownlifecoach.com and I'll see you over there.